The Smoking Tire Podcast is also brought to you today by Hellofresh. I love Hellofresh because you get fresh ingredients delivered right to your door with far less financial waste and food waste than if you went to the grocery store. Like, I like to cook, but what I don't like to do is waste my time digging around the internet for new recipes all the time. And I don't like cooking the same 5 or 6 things over and over. That gets boring. And when you would do a new recipe, sometimes you got to buy these really expensive spices and ingredients, and then you don't use all of them. The second half of the spice sits around for a year. It goes bad. You have to throw away extra produce or whatever. I hate that kind of waste. So HelloFresh gives you exactly the right amount of ingredients, spices, and sauces that you need to make delicious, fresh meals at home. Right now, they've got beef tenderloin and cheese fondue, miso sesame shrimp and bacon ramen. They've got fit and wholesome recipes. They've got satisfying, nutritious meals, and you get like a whole lot of new recipes every week to choose from, including low-calorie and carb-conscious options. HelloFresh cuts back on time spent in the kitchen. Most meals are ready in 30 minutes or less. In my personal experience, sometimes it's up to 40, but 30 to 40 is no big deal. It's really easy, quick cleanup, 72% cheaper than a restaurant meal of the same quality, and you could save on average $65 a month instead of grocery shopping. That's money back in your pocket. Man, there's a lot of options, and what I like best about HelloFresh is that it keeps me making new things. I keep the big, easy-to-read recipe cards if I ever want to go back and make it later for more people, more than just me and my wife. And the ingredients are always fresh and pre-portioned. It's always exactly the right amount of food. So right now, go to HelloFresh.com/SmokingTire16 and use code SmokingTire16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. Smoking Tire 16, right? HelloFresh.com/Smoking Tire 16. Code Smoking Tire 16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. Right. And how about Squarespace? I rock Squarespace for both my businesses, for the Smoking Tire and for Westside Collector Car Storage. Squarespace, they have tools that is an all-in-one platform for building your brand, growing your business, helping you stand out with a beautiful website to engage your audience and even sell stuff, anything, your products, content you create, your time, no matter what. Whatever you're trying to build, right? Squarespace has the tools for it. If you're in, you could do a member area. So if you want to monetize your content with a secret member area where you can unlock a new revenue stream for your business, right? Selling access to good content, online courses and newsletters. You can use an appointment scheduling feature. You can do an email campaign through Squarespace. You can connect your social media accounts. For instance, on the smokingtire.com, all of our social media accounts, our YouTube and our podcast, go straight into the Squarespace page. It's very, very easy. There's back-end analytics helping you understand what's working for your business and what's not working for your business. It is all easy. I don't know anything about coding. I don't know anything about HTML. All I know is how to drag and drop things and type words. And that's all you need to know how to do to make a website on Squarespace. So you can check out squarespace.com/tire for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch your website, use offer code TIRE to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So go to squarespace.com/tire for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code TIRE to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's Squarespace, baby. And we got to protect your car. Everyone's got to protect their car with the Blackview the Blackview D750X 3-channel plus dash cam. Super high quality, high-end dash cam. It works especially well if you're a ride share or taxi driver, or if you just want that extra layer of protection for your car. You've got to consider this camera. The Blackview DR750X 3-channel plus is a dash cam with not one, not two, 3 cameras 1, 2, 3, watching the front, rear, and interior of your vehicle at all times. It simultaneously records all 3 of those feeds together. The front and rear cameras are equipped with Sony Starvis sensors, and the interior camera can record even in full darkness thanks to infrared LEDs. The triple camera model also includes a GPS logger, built-in Wi-Fi, cloud connectivity, and built-in voltage monitoring for parking mode so it won't kill your battery. The dash cam comes with the free BlackView app, allowing you to connect to your dash cam directly over the cloud, get impact notifications, download videos onto your phone, watch the live view, and more. Moreover, BlackView's seamless pairing feature makes connecting to your dash cam super, super easy. The DR750X 3-channel comes with native parking mode, meaning you can hardwire your BlackView and it will automatically activate parking mode to watch over your parked vehicle, all while monitoring the battery voltage and shutting down if necessary. Thanks to the video buffer, the few seconds leading to triggering events are also recorded so you never miss the important details. I have recommended these BlackView cameras to quite a few people here at Westside Collector Car Storage. There's a Lamborghini that's got one downstairs right now, and it gives me the reassurance that these vehicles are fully protected. So go to blackview.com/TST and use promo code TIRE to get 10% off any BlackView dash cam. That's 10% off with code TIRE at blackview.com. That's BLACKVUE.com/TST. Promo code TIRE, 10% off any BlackView dash cam and free shipping for orders over $200. All right, folks, today it's a crew show. Zach and I have been driving lots of stuff since you last heard from us. We talk about the Cadillac CT4-V BlackWing, the M5 CS, the Jaguar F-Pace SVR. We talk about a very funny email that I got that wants to recover my sunken Porsche from the bottom of the ocean. It is very absurd, and we answer a whole bunch of your questions from the Patreon. It's a crew show, Smoking Tire Podcast. Hello. It's been a while since we have done a crew show. We've had many guests, many interesting conversations. We had, I think there was good overlap between Riley and Alyssa in terms of urbanism and AVs, stuff like that. We got to, we did successfully purchase a race car for Two Bears Racing.
Nice. So it's yours now.
We've put a deposit on it. There's some like back end money work that needs to happen, but the car is a gem.
Sweet.
It's a fresher build. It has completed 2 races, and one was an endurance race, one was a sprint race, and it podiumed in the endurance race.
Wow.
Which is great. It's
what is it?
It's a spec E36 coupe. With a really nice, really good looking, built by a place that all they do is build spec E46s. It's their entire business.
Wow.
They're up in Sacramento. And this one they built for themselves, but they were like, we have 2 tubs. You could buy a brand new car and we'll finish it in like a couple weeks for you for this much, or we have this car that's already done. It did 2 races, it's podiumed, and you could buy this one for like a little less. And so because we're not like spec racing or endurance racing, like every last tenth like doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's take I was like, I need to reliable work.
It's sorted. It's proven itself.
Yeah. So we got that. It's got like.
Is it an M3 or 325?
No, it's a 330.
Okay.
It's a 330. It's got like the real-time telemetry shit is already in there. Live video is already in there. Comms is already in there. It's like it's turnkey, ready to race.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
2 sets of wheels. The homie's gonna make us a list of what we need to get for a spares package. But it's a race car.
Sick.
It's not the one we looked at on the show. But that guy sent me to another guy who sent me to another guy, which is where we got the car.
That's so rad.
Yeah.
It's going to be so fun.
Yeah, everyone knows everyone in the E46 BMW community. And
Well, through struggle, we find community.
Apparently, these cars are very stout for endurance racing cars. The wear items are A-arms, tie rods, and ball joints. And so they say to replace those after, because they run the stock bits. So they say to replace those after an endurance race weekend. This one has all new ones.
Like the bushings or the arms themselves?
The arms themselves.
Wow.
Yeah, if you smash a lot of curbs really hard, they can get damaged.
Wow.
And throw your alignment off and stuff like that. And so those are like the big kind of wear items besides your normal, oil changes and whatever regular service items. But
Nice.
the guy's going to make us a list of the spares that we should have at the track. He said gearboxes are pretty good. Clutches are pretty good. They run the aluminum expansion tanks. All that shit that happens to street cars, they fucking upgrade that shit for the race cars.
Nice.
And it's got, I can't remember the brand, but it's got a good diff. They don't use the stock diffs. They use a good diff. And he says they very rarely break those. Yeah, race car.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't think diffs don't usually break unless you're like drifting or putting huge stress on them. So,
I
you
mean,
should be fine.
it should be all right.
Oh,
yeah.
cool. What
Yeah.
are the brakes?
I don't know. I don't fucking know. They're brakes, whatever they are.
Brakes.
Yeah. I didn't like when this dude who's all he does is build race cars. He's like, yeah, we podiumed in this one last week, and I was like,
you'll
yeah,
buy that one.
probably fine.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You just need the like the race comms. Like you have it in the car.
It already has it.
Does it have like the headsets for the team and stuff?
No, we have to buy the matching
Yeah,
headsets
they're
for the
amazing.
team. Yeah, they're great.
They work so
yeah,
well.
they're great. But it's the stuff that's in the car.
The car's wired for all of
The
that.
car's ready to go.
With the button for talking. That's
Done.
really helpful.
Already good to
Yeah,
go.
We had to do that.
That's good. So that's nice. That was a fun show with Bert, and I'm glad we got to help get Two Bears Racing off the ground.
Yeah, that show airs
We'll have a
this
race
week.
car. This show. Maybe we'll bump Alyssa's to next week so we have a crew show so that the things we're talking about maybe are a little more
Timely.
but
Sure.
because Alyssa's is not
Hers is more evergreen.
not timely, not necessarily timely. In fact, one
The
thing
cities will still have problems.
one thing she talked about, was worried because there was a little bit of embargoed information, but I gave her the date that we planned to air it, and she said, "Oh, okay, no, that's not a problem." But it's if we bump it from Thursday to Tuesday, it'll be even less of a problem. Anyway, obviously there's a war in the Ukraine. It's very bad. It's very bad for lots of fucking people. I saw there was a nuclear power plant on fire last night.
They put the fire out.
Good. Yeah. Oh, that's good. That could be bad. Maybe power plants burning could be.
From what I read, it's like the radioactive stuff is like deeply cemented and
As it should be.
as it should be, but still not good.
Either way, you hear nuclear power plant on fire.
there's a reason it got
Ukraine.
retweeted a lot. Yeah.
I was alive in 1986. I mean,
I totally get it.
But the least important story to come out of this war, by far the least important story, is that Porsche may have to slow down production of some cars because of, I don't think it's for diplomatic reasons. I think it's for actual logistical supplier reasons being interrupted, potentially including mine, which is, I will repeat, the least important story to come out of the war. By far the least. People's lives are being completely fucked. Ukrainians and Russians' lives are being completely fucked. But the boat sank, and that'll be old news by the time people hear this. But the boat sank, so hope was lost. Hope was lost on day 2 for my pink car. Fucking lost. They're going to rebuild it. It might take longer. It was going to take longer because there was a choke point on PCCBs, ceramic brakes. So I could have gotten the car replaced pretty quickly if I wanted to give up ceramic brakes, but I didn't because of the engine. You want give me the biggest fucking brakes you got.
Right.
So I said, no, it's a must. If I have to wait, I will wait. It's not a problem. I don't care, but I need the brakes. They said, okay, understood. We'll get back to you. Okay. And then the very next day it was like, Porsche halts production of, so I was like, who the fuck knows when this thing is going to show up? It might be a 2023 by the time the thing shows up. But the boat, underwater. Far fucking underwater.
Well, at least the fire's out.
Yeah.
Theoretically, if it's a battery fire,
It might not
keep
be.
going 'cause
Yeah.
it's a chemical fire.
But I got a letter. And if you follow me on Twitter, you may have seen me post this the other 2 nights ago because it was hilarious. And I'm going to read it for you all today. It's from a commercial diver who attached his resume. And I'm not going to use his name. And you're going to see.
There's a resume?
There's a resume.
Oh,
but I'm not going to attach his name. And you're going to find out why. Dear Matt, what a coincidence, or English is not this person's first language. Because I'm going to read the letter as it's written. So when a word is wrong, I'm going to read it right as it was written. Dear Matt, what a coincidence or faith, they would say, but I say similar people find each other somehow. Therefore, since I really respect what you achieved and feel sorry for your newly bought Porsche, probably sank somewhere near the Azore Islands, as a professional, offer you a deal which is like now or never kind. I am a professional diver, CV attached, with 30 years of experiences, with a group of same kind of people who would willing to find and rescue not just your Porsche, but the whole content of the ship up to a certain extent. I cannot and don't want to give you an exact figure how this would end, but I can guarantee you that we could lower the owner and your losses with at least 10 or 20%, maybe more. Upon agreement,
The optimism is amazing.
upon agreement, we need $100,000 US up front
Oh, now I
for
see.
a 12-person team, assessing, discovering, preparing the site, not from you, but from the owner of the ship. You could be the perfect person to connect, act, and represent between the ownership and us, the guys doing the job. We don't want to get famous, rather stay in the dark, don't need publicity. Matt, this is the last call. Cars in the ocean. With salt, therefore soon rust, not stay
Matt,
long.
That car's going to rust soon.
We either act now or I need all other expenses, flight, accommodation, food paid. Wow. This means $1,000 US per person per day for all professionals. $12,000 US per day with expenses of $8,000 equals $20,000 US dollars per day for 5 days.
That seems reasonable.
In the time frame we can determine if it's worth it or not, we can provide lift bags or other reasonable methods.
Right. So they need it's $100,000 to scope it out.
Yes.
Go to the
100 G's
ocean,
to scope it out.
Get a nice boat.
Yes.
Someone will sit in the sun. Someone will grill.
Yes.
One person will dive and look down and go, oh, that's far. Pop back up. They'll spend 4 days constructing the letter to you to let you know the bad news. And then they'll go, hey, I'm sorry, man.
Thanks
your
for the
car
100
is
G's.
1,000 feet underwater.
And melted into a block
it.
of pink globules.
I don't know if I'm impressed or offended. I mean, it's like the gall and also the optimism.
Well, let me just say
what are the odds that this person actually would go to the ocean at all? Is this just like a total
Well, the
drift?
resume, which I read, was a professional diver's resume. But I think he's been underwater for a little too long, including the time when he should have been reading about the circumstances of this particular shipwreck. I don't think he understands what the words lithium fire mean. And I think he missed the part where the boat is in 1,000 feet of water.
I think you missed the part about the cars are underwater. Like, there's no salvaging them.
What are we doing here?
They could rust soon.
They might rust
They might rust soon if we don't get on this.
If we don't get on this soon, those engines could flood.
If you don't float that car up quickly and put a towel around
The
it.
leather could be ruined.
Yeah.
There's a $10,000 budget for rice to try out.
Yeah, big Ziploc.
Try out bags. We're going to drive the cars into a bag of rice.
Yes, and then let them sit there, and then shake them to get the salt out. That's impressive.
I mean, that is someone who's been under the sea for a little too long.
He's probably a Nigerian prince also.
Right?
Send me half a Bitcoin, I'll send you 3.
Right. I mean,
I just need a quick $100,000.
bro, just 100, just like 100. 1,000 a day per person and then $8,000 a day expenses for 5 days.
Yeah, and the boat owner will pay for it. Now, he didn't reach out to the ship owner, which is publicized.
Dude,
everybody knows.
Lift bags. Do you know what a lift bag is?
I think so.
I mean, it's the concept is hot air balloon underwater.
Yeah, it's a life jacket with compressed air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You connect the thing to a bag, you fill it with air, it goes up.
Yeah.
When I did my search and recovery dive specialty, because I'm a scuba diver, I'm a PADI dive master, and I've done about 250 dives, and I have several what they call specialties, which is specialty training courses, including rescue diving. And so there is in the British Virgin Islands a shipwreck that it's called, I believe, it's not the Calypso. That was Jacques Cousteau's ship, but it was the ship, the sister ship to the Calypso. I can't remember the name of it.
Jane Cousteau.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it's down, it's laying on its fucking side, and you can go inside. It's kind of cool. But next to the boat, like 50 feet away, is a toilet. Don't know how the toilet got there. It's not the toilet from the boat. It's like a house toilet, not a boat toilet. But it's a fucking toilet. And part of the search and recovery program is you have to get the toilet onto the deck of your boat. So not just up from the sea floor, you then have to use the boom of the sailboat as a crane, and you hook it to the thing and you winch it up, and there's everyone gets a photo of them. You graduate from the program when you sit on the toilet on the deck.
I think we know how the toilet got
And then
there.
you have to return it gently to exactly where it was. Like
Yeah.
that's the test. You're like pretty much your final test to get recovery diver specialty. So like I know a little something about this. Like this much. Not a whole lot, but like a little bit. This is the most asinine idea in the history of commercial diving, to recover thousands of melted cars from 1,000 feet down.
How many balloon bags would that take?
Dude, it took, so to get a toilet off of it took 3 like trash can size lift bags to get a toilet from 60 feet down to the surface.
Whoa.
There's a movie, like it's a fictional movie, but it's called Raise the Titanic. Do you remember this movie?
No.
It's a movie where
believe you.
there's a fucking expedition to go, and they use lift bags.
Yeah.
They put fucking lift bags on the Titanic, and they fucking bring it up. But it's fiction. It's not like it's not happening.
Yeah, you need water beds. You need air mattresses. Lots and lots of air
crazy.
mattresses.
So I was fucking pissing myself reading this letter.
I mean, each car is 3,000 pounds, roughly,
Well,
plus the water.
it also I haven't paid for this car. This ain't my car. Like, it's not my car. Like,
No, but you're missing. He's suggesting the ship owner do this to help them out.
Right.
This would help minimize their cost by 10 to 20%. So if they're out $100 million, this might save them 10.
yeah.
It might also cost them 10.
It might cost
because
them
these
10.
guys they're charging 5 G's
And
a day.
then they have
Sorry,
to
20
do
G's a day.
strip and fucking sell all the cars for parts.
Yeah, let's.
Like, it's just insane. If it's if it's 100,000 per week.
Yeah, in 500 days they'd spend 10 million. All right, so they have less than 2 years to get all the cars up to save their money.
I'm sure they'll be fine at the end of 2 years. I'm sure a car underwater for 2 years will be absolutely recoverable.
This is very ambitious. this is truly Ocean's 15.
Right. This is some Steve Zissou
Ocean's 1000.
fucking shit. So anyway,
Wow.
the least important story about Ukraine is that some guy from Eastern Europe, and based on the name, this person is from Eastern Europe, would like to.
Some guy someone in the chat said I spent 2,000 hours underwater over a 4-year period for work. Working underwater does weird stuff to you.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. It absolutely does. I've done deep dives where you get nitrogen narcosis,
Right.
And that's basically the effect is the same as you being drunk. I mean, what happens to your body with nitrogen narcosis from depth is when you get saturated with nitrogen in your blood and shit. It is indistinguishable from being drunk. In terms of like how your brain works. It's very funny stuff.
Is it because you're out of oxygen? Or you have less
You just have a
oxygen?
saturation of nitrogen in your blood, and it just makes you fucking loopy as can be.
Like whippets.
Yeah, kind of. But
Okay.
like not the wah, 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 wah. You don't do that.
Right, more
Yeah.
glug, glug, glug. That was a silly joke. All right.
So anyway,
That's
that was
amazing.
that is a chuckle.
That's incredible.
And boy, boy, do I hope that guy gets better. Whatever's going on with him.
So you're not going to do it?
I was going to send him 100.
Yeah, I mean,
why not?
The car costs.
I should have Kreischer send him 100. Kreischer's got 100, obviously, to burn on something. And send him
100 to bring. You could just buy another car for the exact same money.
I should be like, Tom, here's how you one up Bert for his next birthday.
Give him a salvaged car.
Get him a fucking lump of melted steel from the bottom of the ocean.
Jeez.
Oh boy. Went out to Donnie's, dropped off the Ferrari, picked up Lamborghini. Lamborghini is running very nicely. Donnie really did a good job. The main reason that car took a poo at the end of last year was that the inside of the distributor cap it was full of like grease and like gunk. In fairness, Donnie was there was a bill from the major service it had in 2018 saying that was cleaned out. And Donnie says that there is zero chance that this distributor was cleaned 4 years ago. Zero chance. I said, well, maybe it was. And I've just done a lot of driving. And he said,
how does the grease get in there? Just kind of going up the shaft from the distributor?
The shaft has a lubricant, like it's connected to the engine and it is fed with oil.
Yeah.
But the oil was like this like dried kind of gunked oil, and I'm probably explaining this wrong, but it is a lubricated thing.
Yeah.
And it was just had a lot of gunk in it, and that gunk was fucking up the metal contacts. And so he totally rebuilt the entire distributor. He got parts from Valentino Balboni in Italy. It was actually really hard to find. The magnetic pickup, it was really fucking hard to find that. It was like Valentino had one in Europe, and it was like $200. To get one from here was like $3,000. Like, it was crazy. It was just one of those things. But now the car's running fucking excellent.
Nice.
Yeah. So I had 100 miles out there in the 328. The brakes didn't die. It was good. And he's going to...
Mostly flat.
320, yeah, it was chill. It was actually a very nice drive. The 328, we're going to do shocks, bushings, brakes, finally put my fucking radio in. He needs to refasten the inner driver's door panel because it's slightly loose. It's cold starting, like a little rough. When it warms up, it's fine, but in the first like minute or two, I think it's running on 7 cylinders and not 8.
You can feel the vibration.
Yeah, and then it's fucking smooths out, and then it's good. And so we think it might be the cold start injector, which whatever the fuck that means.
Okay.
Okay, Donnie, have at it. But man, it is nice to have that red car back, and it is driving really
better than ever.
Really, really nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really nice. What a great car that is. I can't wait to put some more miles on it. We had the CT4-V BlackWing last week. What a delightful machine.
It's what the M3 should be in many ways. In many, many ways, yeah. I mean, it drives great and rides great and
really fast, really fun. Great shifter.
Manual feels amazing.
Yeah.
T6060, I think.
Yeah, it's a Tremec, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what the number is at this point, but the mag ride is just really versatile and great. The steering is super sharp. No Q, obviously. So really, it's got all the right features, but it's not like in your face about like, look how much tech I have.
Right.
You know, it's got heated and cooled seats. They're massaging seats, which in the car of that price point is excellent.
Yeah, and it comes with heated seats, I think.
Heated is standard. Cooled and massaging was the.
It was like a $600 option,
bucks.
Right?
Yeah,
it was pretty cheap.
It was
relative
great.
to the price of the car.
Yeah, and super quick, super quick. I mean, in the canyons, not a huge difference between the 4 and the 5.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean, in a highway race, like, yeah, the 5 will win.
The separation, I think, would happen between 60 and 160 between those two cars, you know, or really big racetrack.
Yeah.
But, like, for all intents and purposes, that is plenty of power, good delivery, all that stuff.
And they managed to make the 6-cylinder sound good. The ATS-V did not sound good.
No.
This car, whatever they've done with the exhaust, it sounds pleasant.
The ATS-V sounded like a 350Z, which is bad. This car sounds more like an inline 6.
Yes.
High in the rev range, I noticed, like on the drive-bys, that's when it starts to sound like a V6. But most of the time, it sounds like an inline six, which is fine.
Really, really nice car.
Yeah, it's a really good car.
I really enjoyed that. I don't know what the ADM looks like on those right now. I don't know if the real world cost is $100,000. And I hope not, because the one we drove was 76, and I mean, what a ton of car for 76 grand. I mean,
because it was like maxed out at 76, and that's
was all
where
the options.
M3 comp starts, I think. Or maybe it's where the
no, it's where the regular M3 is like 74.
Oh, it starts at 73. That's right. And,
so it just overlaps, and it drives like the competition, but with a manual.
Totally.
Better looking.
And the manual in this is what
it's a good manual.
Makes the manual in the BMW just seem like you don't even try.
Yeah.
What are you doing here? Like just totally skip it and go for the dual clutch.
Yeah. That car's very good.
Yeah.
People were commenting that there's lots of ADM on them, and I hope that's not the case, because I wouldn't want to, well, I hope it doesn't cost $100,000 to get that car. That would suck. But but it's lovely.
For even money, I think it's still like if you're gonna spend $100 on an M3 comp or $100 on the CT4-V, I'd still rather have the CT4 because I think it looks better and it drives better. You just don't have the badge recognition, and like the interior of the BMW does look nicer and fancier.
Yeah.
But I think the question is long term, all the crazy tech, like how long is that going to work? Whereas the Cadillac is like mostly buttons with a touchscreen, but this still has volume knob, it still has a tuning knob. I think that shit will work for a long time.
Yeah, it's not all. It's all the extra stuff isn't necessarily buried in menus, which is good. You've got that quick V button on the steering wheel, which I really like. Handy. That's handy for sure. We had it. We couldn't figure out why it kept sticking in V mode.
Yeah.
For some reason, we had this experience where you'd put it into V mode, you'd drive for a bit, and then when you went to go take it out of V mode, it would stay in V mode until you turned the car off and turned it back on, which was strange. And I don't think it's supposed to do that. But one person did comment on the video that they experienced the same thing in their personal car.
Oh. I told the press people about it.
Did they give you an answer?
No. Well, sorry. I told the guy that picked it up. I was like, hey, just let the people know. But it would stay. The ESC off and traction light would stay off.
Right.
Or those illuminated saying, hey, these are turned off now. And we were going back to like comfort mode, eco mode. It didn't matter. It just it stuck there.
That was weird. A weird hiccup. I don't know if it's indicative of a bigger problem. It went away when you restarted the car, and it was easy to tell because the exhaust baffles would stay open, so you could actually hear it. But that was the only problem I had with the car. I mean, literally, other than that car was about as perfect as a sports sedan gets, pretty much.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, and I think I might have even liked it better than the 5 BlackWing because it was just a little smaller. Like, the 5 didn't feel huge on the road. It felt all right, but, like, I like the size of the 4 better.
Totally, yeah. The 5, you're aware you're in a bigger car. I mean, and I think the interior space, we didn't look up the specs, but I'm sure the front seats are very similar between 5 and 4, almost like RS5 and RS7.
Right.
And the interior design and layout looks exactly the same. So it's not like the 5 is going to look like this luxurious palace compared to the 4.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much the same. It's just a little wider, a little longer. Yeah. It was nice how the same it was, actually. They didn't need, it means the 4 is really good.
Yeah.
And now I've been driving the M5 CS for a couple days, and Zach's going to take it home this weekend, but it's $40,000 more than
the 5.
The CT4-V BlackWing. And I'm having a tough time liking it. It's BMW says it's 230 pounds lighter than the M5 competition. Car and Driver weighed it, and it was 147 pounds lighter than the M5 competition. So it's actually 100 pounds lighter. Wait, CT, let me get my notes. What's the CT4-V BlackWing weigh? Hang on. Sorry, CT4-V BlackWing weighs 4123.
Okay.
M5 CS weighs 4096. So only 30 pounds difference between the two.
Wow.
And yes, the M5 has the all-wheel drive. It has the automatic gearbox, both of which weigh more than the rear-wheel drive manual. But to get the weight down, one, they've removed some sound deadening, which is fine. The car is still pretty quiet. It's got light wheels. That's fine too. Lightweight wheels are good. They're that cool like bronze, right?
Carbon hood.
Carbon hood, fine. It has a carbon roof, fine, but no sunroof, which, yeah, okay, maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't. But then the fucking seats. They save a lot of weight by putting those bucket seats with the nut holder that the M3 had that I hated so much. And in the M5, they're actually worse because the car's bigger, it's heavier, it's more luxurious, and there's no lumbar. I mean, imagine the seats. The BlackWing has massage seats. This has no adjustable lumbar.
But that's the intent of the car. Isn't it?
I
You
get
just
it.
get the regular M5.
I get it. Doesn't mean I like it. Like, I've been driving this car for 4 days now, and my back feels like it feels when I drive a McLaren LT with the HR Geiger seats.
Right.
Like, you climb over those hard sills. It's got, the M5 has this really wide footwell, which is great. That's like the difference between like a luxury car and like an economy car. The width of that footwell, you can man spread.
Right,
Or,
which is what these seats do.
Which is what these seats, the seats
encourage you to.
simultaneously force you to man spread, but not man spread. Because if you, the outer thigh bolsters are so hard, I physically can't touch my knees to the door or the center tunnel. It points my feet straight ahead. I actually, if I put my left foot on the dead pedal, I get a bruise on my outer thigh.
Because of the angle.
Because it points my feet straight ahead. So I actually can't really relax. Now, fortunately, there's enough room that I can back the seat up pretty far so I can kind of stretch my legs straight out and use the pedals. But it takes away all of this extra space that the car has by not allowing your body to use it. And it's like, okay, yes, I'm larger than the average person, fine. Maybe if you're the right size that they molded, this might be different. But like, it's not like I don't fit in the seat. I fit in the seat. That's not what this is about. And the only thing adjustable, I mean, there's the angle and there's the slider, and then there's the side bolsters will pinch or open.
Right.
And that's not the problem. The problem is what happens on the bottom.
Well, it's the angle, right?
The angle?
The seats are guiding your leg, let's call it 0 degrees.
Yes.
And if the dead pedal is
at 5 degrees.
at -5 to the left,
Yes.
well, then your knee has to do that. And if you rotate your leg, you know, sometimes you sit and you rotate your leg so that your toes lean on the dead pedal, then your knee is pressing into, your leg's pressing into the carbon.
Right.
Guide. Yeah.
Simultaneously, because I have big, meaty thighs, on the right side, the nut cup pinches the inside of the thigh, while the outer bolster pinches the left side of the thigh. So I'm bouncing back and forth between the two. I hate these seats so
I think it's a really
much.
silly design. You know, I do. I think having the thing in the center doesn't make sense to me. Like, having the aggressive carbon on the outside, like HR Geiger or McLaren, like I get that totally.
Yeah.
But having this weird restriction
in the middle
is really odd. Like we've both driven different race cars, we've seen different cars. Like, I've never seen that. Someone will probably correct us, but like, unless it's the most strict F1 car or circle track thing, like, I don't know why they need to guide where your legs go.
It's weird.
It looks cool, I guess, but they could have made that flat.
Yeah.
And had the carbon, and it would have looked cool also.
Yeah.
It just seems like a really weird marketing thing gone wrong. Like, it looks like it's going to be the most functional seat in the world.
Yeah.
And that it's the most hardcore for drivers, and it actually has worse functionality.
I just can't imagine spending this much money on a luxury car that's this uncomfortable. That to me is just wild.
Because it is comfortable. Like, they gave it the dampers from the M8. Or the 8 Grand Coupe. Like, it's supposed to ride nicely.
The
so
ride,
you can
it's
GT
not about
it.
the ride.
No,
the
I
ride
know.
is okay.
But that's what I'm saying is, like, if it was a GT3 RS, like the new one, which is uncomfortable on most roads, and the seats are uncomfortable, you're not going to be inclined to drive it 1,000 miles.
Right.
But like this,
You've un-M5'd it.
Yeah, you've un-M5 part of it. That's true.
And it's just weird. It's like the reduced sound deadening, great. Like the lightweight bits, cool. The lack of sunroof, totally fine. No problems there. And dynamically, it's good. I don't think it rides as well as the CT4-V BlackWing. I don't think it steers as well as the CT4-V BlackWing. The brakes are very good, but they're not mind-blowingly good. They're big ceramics, so they're what I expect, but they're not mind-blowingly good. And it's fast, dude. The thing makes massive power. I mean,
635, right?
627 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque. Big wide power band, 4,200 RPM wide. It's a fast car. Like, and if you're like the most enthusiastic BMW person ever, and you're willing to give up, you know, certain comforts, or somehow this fits you perfectly, you know, God bless. But like, I cannot imagine spending that much money on a sedan to be that. And I said this about the M4 also, or the M3 that we drove with these seats. Like, it's not a GT3 RS. It's not a McLaren. It's not something that you drive at the limit on weekends only, you know, on track days. Like, if you've got enough money to buy this, I don't know who has 150 for an M5 that wants to actually use it for track day only work.
Right.
Anyone who's buying an M5, that's their daily. Who buys an M5, a 4,000 RP as their special occasion weekend car? Who is that customer?
That would be interesting. You know, like, because if you wanted a dedicated track BMW, you'd get an M2 CS or M3 Comp.
Sure.
Because it's just smaller, it's probably just as quick, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a lot of weight to move around.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a fancy GTR, but it is a weird thing where...
It's like they built it just for ring taxi.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it does seem like that. I mean, when you look at the car, when you look at the seats, I know that my eyes and brain go, oh, race car.
Right.
And that's what it does. But when the execution of those seats is not really comfortable, I think that's a fail, because a racing seat should ultimately be comfortable. Like Ross Bentley put that in his book. Like, designing a seat that supports you really well and is comfortable allows you to focus on driving, it holds you in better, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
This is almost more like a marketing seat that then got put in the car.
Yeah. Like, even the GT3 RS seats, they're actually quite comfortable once you're in them. The reason I don't want them in my car is because when I'm running errands and getting in and out of the car 20 times, climbing over that hard sill is arduous.
Yes.
If I was buying a weekend car where driving is the activity, I get in it, I'm in it for 3 hours, I get out of it, and that's the day, no big deal. It's a great seat for that purpose. But I like to use my cars for everyday shit, and so I want the ease of ingress and egress. Part of the reason I prefer the Lotus Evora GT to the Cayman GT4 everyday use, because it has a really usable seat. These seats are ridiculous. They're just crazy. I just don't get, like, I just don't get it. And I understand why they want to save some weight. I really do. It feels
Just got to shave down that center.
It feels like there must have been a better way to do it than that. It's just not. So anyway, we're gonna make the video on Monday. We didn't go today because it was, I think, snowing up there.
Yeah, it said mixed snow and rain, so we skipped.
So we passed on filming today, but it's really fast. Like 0 to 60 in 2.6. Quarter mile in 10.6 at 130. So
nuts.
I mean, that's really fast, and I'm not saying any of those things are bad. It's 0.2 of a second quicker to 60 than the competition. It's 0.4 quicker in the quarter mile than the competition, and it's extra 0.05 G on the skid pad compared to the competition. So the numbers don't lie that this thing is quicker, and it does like a 729 around the Nürburgring. So that's a really fast number for that kind of a car. I just don't want. I want to know who the customer is for an ultra luxury sedan that's not very comfortable.
Yeah, I'd be curious. Yeah, hopefully someone who's listening ordered one or knows someone who ordered one.
Yeah, at least for all that money, it does. The one we have is like loaded, but no option. There are no options. You get a CS, it's got everything on it already. So
except adaptive cruise control, right?
Correct.
You can't get it with that, can you?
It does not have adaptive cruise control.
Is it I couldn't find if it was an option or not.
I didn't try to build one, but
all right, we'll go to the configurator and find out.
But yeah, that's the other thing. $150,000 on a BMW M5 without adaptive cruise control is pretty terrible.
Yeah, it's weird. That's a weird. We need to find out if you can build it, because there are other cars, like I looked up the Panamera Turbo S. Like that starts at like 172.
Right.
So it starts way more, and it also does not come with adaptive cruise for that money. You have to add that with like a $3,000 whatever package, and so this is like as fast. It makes a little bit basically same power, same torque, but like I just want to know if it's available on the M5 CS.
Yeah. I mean, I think for 100. Well, look, the most egregious I've ever seen was the Urus. The Urus I drove, the one that I did 3,500 miles in, was $260,000. SUV, no adaptive cruise control. That is pure madness. I mean,
did it have like the parking sense? Did it have the other tech things that usually come in a tech package?
I mean, I think so. This was a year and a half ago, so I don't really recall. Okay. But when you're doing 3,600 miles in 2 weeks, you notice that.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's something you really notice. And that was the most egregious one I've ever seen in terms of a luxury car not having it. But for it to not be on this $150,000 BMW, or to not come standard on the $170,000 Panamera Turbo, that's equally egregious, I think.
Well, according to which car, they say that adaptive cruise and something else from the competition have been deleted for lightness.
Oh, there you
go.
So
less computing power, fewer systems.
Oh, well, that seems dumb.
Lane keep assist and adaptive cruise have been deleted.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and it's only available with regular cruise control.
Yeah,
so
that
you can't get
sucks.
it with adaptive.
That's not good.
You got to find weight somewhere.
I guess, yeah.
Maybe they should just do a carbon trunk and then put adaptive cruise back in. I'm sure it's expensive. But,
yeah. Yeah, it's. I don't know what it's like to be in those boardrooms and make that decision, and I'm sure there are people that don't care, but to me, money still matters, and if I was spending that much money and didn't get that, I'd be pretty pissed.
Yeah, if you ordered one, let us know why.
Yeah. Yep. A customer here said that their buddy ordered one and that he was the most like hardcore BMW junkie ever. So I don't know. We also drove the F-Pace SVR, revised at the end of last year. It has new infotainment that it looks like they put a bigger screen as like, those Alpine units that like go in the single din, but then they have an enormous screen that comes out now.
It looks like it folds.
No, they don't fold anymore. They're just fixed.
Oh.
It's a fixed tablet now.
Okay.
It looks like that. But this fucker goes.
The drive-bys are so fast.
The term F-Pace is very appropriate because you're driving it and you're just going, fuck, pace.
That's funny.
It is. This thing is really fast, and I don't think the numbers. What are the actual numbers?
I think it was 550.
Oh yeah, it's 550 horse, 516 pound-feet, 4,800 pounds. This says 0 to 60 in 3.8, quarter mile in 12.2. I don't think that those numbers indicate how fast this thing actually is on the road. 12.2 is like. It's a good number, quarter mile, but like, I think in the real world, this keeps up pace with something that's more like the high 11s. It really can carry a lot of speed through corners.
Yeah.
The brakes are very effective. It handles bumpy roads really well. It fucking moves. It's really, really quick, and actually very fun.
It's cool, man, and it's nice inside. It looks good outside. Seats are really comfortable.
Those were good. Those were
really
good bucket
good.
seats.
They were good.
Jaguar did put the bucket seats in the. Is there a photo in this car and driver piece if you scroll down of the interior with the new bucket seats? I think they did a very nice job making them comfortable and scrumptious.
Yeah.
It's it's pretty quiet if you put it in quiet mode. It's not offensive. It has it doesn't have a wake your neighbors startup. It has a quiet start. But if you open the valves, it sounds, when it idles, it sounds like a speedboat. It sounds like a cigarette boat, which is great. Not a great photo. Oh, there we go. See, that's a nice bucket seat. Really holds you in.
It does.
Laterally. But the thighs have a decent bolstering, but it's not like rock hard. 2/3 of the way up your legs kind of thing.
Yeah, and they were comfortable and they look good. I mean, I thought the whole interior looked good. Even the tablet, which if you look at it from the side, like you said, it does look like they stuck an iPad on top of an older system.
Yeah,
but it looks fine, and I think
it's not offensive. It's just a little chuckle.
Yeah, but I think that what they did with the Brightwork and the leather and the Alcantara, like it's all mixed together really well. And I overall really like the design of the interior and the exterior. I think it looks. Is
this your
like
water?
No.
Your room temp water? Oh. Did I open it already?
Yeah, it looks like a muscle truck. I mean, it looks like a fancy, muscly SUV.
I did really enjoy it. I thought. It's not really a fair comparison, but I thought on bumpy city roads, it was a little harsh because it's got big rims, and the big rims can be a little jarring if the rim makes a contact with a hard edge, but it's not really enough to compress the shock. It goes into and this is even in comfort mode. It does feel stiffer than say the BlackWing, which we had at the same time.
Right.
It's not a 1-to-1 comparison. It's just like here's the other car I was driving.
Because that had 18s.
Had 18-inch wheels. This is 22s.
Yeah.
And so, but when you're up in the canyons and the bumps are bigger and you're actually compressing the shock, it rode really nice. It also had like just the right amount of body roll. Not too much or it felt wallowy, but not that fake flat like the X5 and X6. Like I respect what they do with the anti-roll control, but sometimes you go, it's a little too flat. Like I want to feel maybe that tire starting to break away. I want to feel a little bit of motion there to know like how much I'm leaning on the tire.
Yeah.
And it offered the right amount of that. I also thought the gearbox was really well programmed in this. It listened to you when you told it to do things, which I liked very much. Thought the steering wheel was really good. And it had a lot of space, even in the back seat, sitting behind me. I thought there was still a lot of space in the trunk. In general, a very, very pleasant motoring experience. The F-Pace, I think, is the best car that Jaguar makes right now. It's just a really nice thing.
I haven't driven an F-Type in so long, so I don't even know what the revised ones look like. Or sorry, what they feel like inside.
They have the little skinny headlights.
Yeah.
But this is a really, really nice piece of hardware. I found it to be very enjoyable. I think Jaguar did an excellent job in it, and for it's really the performance of like a Cayenne turbo, but at the price undercutting a Macan turbo. So it doesn't have like everything a Cayenne has, but it's a really, really appealing alternative to a loaded up Macan for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's bigger, so it's the size of a Cayenne, but the price of the Macan.
Right.
And it, loud and fast.
Goes like a motherfucker. The drive-bys, like I was going past you guys at
fast.
Extraordinary speeds.
Yeah. It looked it.
Yeah. One of them I was like, holy fuck, that's probably too fast. Okay, back it down a little bit. But it was very, very, very nice vehicle. So that's what we've been driving. We've reached the end of my notes. Do we have things to hear from the people from the Patreon?
Things. There are many things.
Many things to talk about from the people and from the Patreon. Man, that was we've driven a lot of cars since we last.
I feel like we had 4 cars. Like we had the 5, the 4, the F-Pace, something else in the middle. I drove the E36 M3 GT.
The Golf R. Did we talk about that?
Yeah, the Golf R.
We covered that.
That was at the end of the last cruise show.
Right.
And then you drove the GT4 RS, which we can't talk about.
Can't talk about GT4 RS yet.
One.
Yeah, that's March 22nd, or when someone else breaks the embargo.
And then it just opens the gates.
If you ain't first, you certainly ain't gonna be last.
Right.
To the Patreon. All of our questions come from our Patreon, which is at patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. You can sign up there, and for a very small amount of money, you can get access to the live streams. You can get an ad-free listening experience for a little more money, both audio and video. You never have to listen to me read ads again. You can get, at the pro driver level, early access to the episodes. You get them the same day or the next day after they're recorded, instead of waiting for the Tuesday, Thursday schedule. And you get an extra show. You get a 9th show every month at the pro driver level. So that's at patreon.com/thesmokingtirepodcast. Okay, get through as many of these as we can. James Crowley says, with cars being so expensive and costs rising, is it a wise plan to keep the daily that you own on the road for as long as possible, or should this be avoided and upgrade your daily driver to the safest, most efficient car available? Forester just got a brand new engine at $85K. Well, it's not a great time to buy cars. And I think we all know that the period we're in is not going to last forever, but it's also not going to end in the next couple of months. When we ended our show with Bo Bachman, as we were walking out to go out, he said, you know, when my dad first got into the business after World War II, he said it was about 10 years. He said it was like 10 years between 1941 and 42 and 1951 and 52 before those markets really stabilized. And the way that they used to sell some other fucking brands, but the way they got into Fords was that Ford was the first brand that was selling cars like at MSRP. And so, in my opinion, if you have a car you like and it works for you, you should keep it. You know, you shouldn't get rid of something that you like for whatever uncertainty is at the other end.
Yeah.
If you've got something you like, keep it. That's just my opinion.
And that car is probably pretty efficient. Just to talk about the gas thing, like some people want to trade in or sell their 12 mile per gallon something to get a 36 mile per gallon something, and you have to do the math on when will the savings at the pump, you know, offset the cost of that new vehicle. But if your car is running well, has a good new engine, is getting like, you know, 20 miles per gallon or 25, you're probably not going to make up that difference, you know, with how expensive cars are today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike Manillo, is it gaudy to have multiple cars in the same color? I don't, you know, there's people that have whole fleets of cars in the same color. I have a customer here at WCCS that has 4 cars, all white. I know white seems to be a common one. White or black, you know, seems to be pretty common. I don't know a lot of people. This person, in the example, Mike says he's got a Grabber blue Mach-E and maybe would want to get a Grabber blue Mustang. I mean, I'm not against that. I'm certainly not one to talk about colors. Get whatever color you want.
Yeah.
I think it's much weirder to buy the same car in 4 or 5 different colors. And there's people who do that. There's been some photos on Instagram going around of some guy who's got like a dozen E92 M3s, like a bag of Skittles, all painted crazy shit. And like, I get if you love a car, but like, I don't understand why you would literally have a dozen of the same car.
It's like having the same sneaker in 4 different colors. You're just like, well, I like to wear these so much, so I just got them in different things. But it's cars, so it takes up more space. It's more expensive.
Right.
The experience isn't any different.
You talking about me?
No. I was talking about like just sneakerheads in general.
Oh, okay.
But then as I said that, I realized you have New Balances in
I have New Balance,
colors.
but that's because there's so few fucking shoes I like.
Right.
And I wear them until they're worn out, and then I throw them away.
But I think it's stranger to take cars and match them to your outfit or evening, and when they're the same car.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with getting multiple cars in the same color if you're into that color.
If you like the color, well, just like the color.
Yeah, it's fine.
We're all going to die one day.
Sure. Chris Navio, do you think Duesenberg will ever be revived like Bugatti was? I would love for an American company to make a competitor to Rolls-Royce. I don't think so. I think Duesenberg's influence is more localized than non-Americans think. Like I don't know if Europeans know that much about Duesenbergs in general. They made a very small number of cars. I think Duesenberg made like less than 200 cars during their entire existence. Jeez. They made a very small number of cars. And Zach could find the thing. Bugatti worked. It went away, but then it came back. Total what? 481. 481 cars Duesenberg made in its entire thing. You know, Bugatti started in the 20s. They were really around until the 40s. They went away. They kind of came back in the 90s. They went away again. Then they came back again. And so and the brand carried more presence always than Duesenberg really had ever since 1929.
Because they kept reinforcing it.
Yeah.
They kept making they won races in the beginning, Bugatti did, and then they would reinvent themselves and be like, well, now we make the nicest thing.
Yeah.
And then we make the fastest thing.
Yeah.
And then again and then that's what they've been doing since.
Yeah.
So they've reinforced their brand. I think I totally agree with you, except with what Radford's done. I feel like they are the experiment. You know, I think there are companies that will bring back any brand and try to launch it. So Bradford's really obscure to us, especially. But they were like, well, let's launch it. And they used to make cool cars. Let's make it again. So maybe someone would grab the Duesenberg name and try.
Right. Duesenberg also, like, it's not a cool sounding name. I mean, it's like, you know what I mean?
True.
Like, Bugatti sounds like a little more exotic than
But we also know, I mean, it is.
It could be, but like, I think, you know, and there's people have tried to resurrect other brands. Like there's a new Hispano Suiza. There's a new Di Tommaso. There's a new, this sort of Delahaye thing. Like, and in my opinion, so far, it's not really working.
I think it's really hard. I
Yeah.
think it's always really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think Americans are incapable of building the best luxury cars. It's not in our DNA. We don't have, the American auto industry just does not have what it takes to give enough of a fuck to do it right.
We just haven't focused on it since like Cadillac's
ever.
heyday in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
But I think those decades spent building reliable cars or utilitarian cars, that's what we focused on, and we got good at that. And other countries focused on luxury or refinement, or it's part of their culture.
Yeah.
And you can't, I think it's really hard to catch up to that because it's in so much of their DNA and what they do and their work process. Yeah.
Yeah. Matt Cheseldine wants to know what leather strap I recommend for a Seiko 5 Sports. I get all my leather straps either from Craft and Tailored or from Bosphorus Leather in Turkey. All of them. Oh boy.
This is a long one. Basically, Fergus, you know, should he get a BMW i4 M50? He's on the fence about keeping ICE cars or going EV, but he lives in Australia, and I think the takeaway is like, what's the infrastructure for EVs like in Australia? Because I've read reviews from like Dan Prosser and Andrew Frankel that like the i4 M50, so I think it's going to drive fine.
I've never driven one. I have absolutely no idea what it's like, but we talked about it with Riley Brennan. I don't recommend buying any EVs. Lease them. Just fucking lease them. Give them back. We don't. There's no real guarantee that these things will not depreciate a lot. In fact, there's lots of reinforcing evidence that they will depreciate a lot. So EVs to me are purely appliances. You might as well just fucking rent the thing and give it back. And like Zach said, no idea what the charging situation is down in Australia right now. I'd love to come visit Australia again, but right now, don't know. Jason Martin wants book recommendations. I just finished a great one called How Are You Going to Pay for That? Smart Answers to the Dumbest Question in Politics that I found to be very interesting. I'm going to give it to Zach when I'm done. What else is on my reading list right now? I just got one, haven't gotten into it yet, called Allow Me to Retort, A Black Guy's Guide to the Constitution, which I think should be very interesting. Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I can't recommend enough if you haven't read that one already. It's on my list to reread it after hearing Segura interview the author again. I really want to reread that one.
My friend of mine was she had a tech job, and she wasn't really into it. And she'd already had a couple of reprimands, and then she handed that book out to like 20 different people at the office, and they fired her like a week later.
Get out of here.
And if you're a lawyer, don't contact me about like she should sue them. Like, this isn't that kind of thing. It was just funny that she was having trouble at work, handed out this book called How to Not Give a Fuck, and then they're like, yeah, we need to talk.
The only thing that could be worse is if there's like union pamphlets inside the book. Marty McFly 86, perfect canyon carving back road blastic vehicle. Has to be from the 90s or early 2000s. Why?
A 1UZ swapped Miata.
Okay. Boxer Spider demand engine, but that doesn't count.
It's too new.
I mean, it's too new.
No, you could get an early 2000s Boxer and put the demand engine in it.
They won't. They don't make it, but it won't work. But I mean, I don't know why it has to be from that period, because the best Canyon cars are newer than that. But
what? But you could find a car with hydraulic steering that feels better than a new electric box. That would be the only thing that's
yeah, but
better.
the best Canyon carving cars have the best electric boxes.
Very true.
I mean, if it has to be from that period, like a R34 Skyline with Öhlins dampers, you know, TE37s and good tires, call the game. Joe Leonard, do you think the potential reason for non-sports car one-take reviews get low views is because they aren't compatible with the format? That could be true. That could definitely be true. But I do not care at all about making Doug-style videos where we press buttons and poke around and do shit like that. He's great at it. I'm happy for him, but I don't want to do that.
I also, I mean, I've done 2 reviews, like the ID4 and then the Nexo, which weren't focused on here's the view out the window. They were focused on the tech and like just the competition, all that stuff, and they also did shitty. I think the crowd we've curated and developed is into driving quickly.
Yeah, I think that that's what our audience wants.
Yeah.
And they know there's enough people reviewing cars that you can find the reviewer to match the car and not necessarily the other way around. If you're looking at an EV or something, you might want a Jason Fenske, or if you're looking at a crossover or an SUV, you might want a car for your family, you might want a Doug. If you want a weekend sports car, you come to us. And so that's just what the audience wants. Sean Gallagher, do you think Mitsubishi will ever revive the Eclipse in pure all-wheel drive 2-door form after seeing the sales Toyota and Subaru are getting from the 86 BRZ? No. I don't think the 86 and BRZ sell that well.
I don't think they do. I think they do better. They do well in our circle.
Yeah.
But they don't. I don't think they do huge numbers.
No, and it requires 2 companies coming together to engineer and sell the same vehicle to 2 different audiences.
Same with the Supra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Toyota has proven that people who don't build sports cars have a really hard time building sports cars. They need to. Maybe we should learn something from that, and we should have Doug come on our channel and to review a crossover for us. We need, because we can't pull the numbers. It would probably be the best. Yeah, it would. And then I could kill myself. But yeah, I mean, hasn't Mitsubishi proven that they're not good at building cars anymore? Why do we want them to build a car now?
I don't know. I think people just want the Eclipse to come back because they remember the one they liked, not the one that came later that sucked.
Yeah.
It's what, 3rd gen?
The only good, the first gen one was
It was quick.
It was okay.
Second's
quick.
the good one.
The second one is the good one, and then it went off a
worse
cliff.
and then worse again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. So I think if you want an Eclipse GSX, you should invest the money in the best one you could find now, because there will always be a market for the really, really good ones. The old ones. Find a 95 to 98 GSX Mint, and there will always be a market for that.
They look so cool.
They're very rare, and the ones that aren't modified or fucked or crashed or whatever, that's a collectible car. And so if that's what you want, go buy one of them, But I think if there's one thing we've learned from Mitsubishi, it's that they're not good at building cars anymore. So they can stop now.
If you want a new
forklifts, go ahead.
If you want a new turbocharged all-wheel drive vehicle, buy an M240i.
Buy fucking anything. You just described all cars now.
Everything has turbo. That's true.
And by the way,
There's
our bet on the M240i was completely right. That is our best performing video in the last month.
Oh, because people. It's nice to see when people are really excited about a car that I'd say is more middle ground.
Yeah.
It's not the RS version. It's not the Countach whatever. It's like, ooh, the one that we can probably afford and is quick.
Yeah. Kurt says, my 2012 Accord is starting to feel old, and my daily driving is within partial hybrid range, 20 miles. The 2018 Volt or Clarity are in the mid-20s. Why should I not switch? I mean, look, a second-gen Volt is a phenomenal automobile.
Yep. Don't you dare buy a Clarity.
A Clarity is a heinous-looking car.
I won't let you, Kurt. I will not let you.
They are ugly as fuck. They might be the best car in the world, but I don't care because they are so ugly.
So ugly.
Second-gen Volts are superior automobiles. I don't know what happens to them at 60 or 70,000 miles. The one that my sister had was a lease, and it went back after 24,000 miles or something, but it never had a single issue. My first gen Volt never had a single issue. That is a superior automobile. At least, when it was new. I couldn't tell you.
A friend of mine bought a used first gen like 2 years ago and loves it.
Yeah.
Loves it.
One of the best cars ever made that people don't give a fuck about.
True.
Can't recommend it enough. Oliver Green, is Porsche going to do a 992.2 Carrera T with the 4.0 NA motor? No. The last Carrera T didn't have an NA motor.
Nope.
The last Carrera T, no. The 992 will not have an NA engine. The 991 Carrera T had the base Carrera's 3-liter twin turbo engine.
Yeah.
So the the T, the way that the math works on T always has the base motor. Base motor with the best suspension and some lightweighting shit. That's how that formula works. We've booked a Macan T in 2 weeks.
Right. We had the Cayman T, same thing.
Yeah, so it's base motor, fancy schmancy suspension, lightweight options, and then some little trim bits. That's what the T is. So there will not be a GT3 engine in the T, and there never was. I don't know what this means. Chappie says, did I consider any of the 000 magazine specs for Boxster Spider or Too Tame? I don't know what that is. I have no... Chappie, if you're there, get in the chat, the regular chat, and follow up, because I have no idea what that is. Anonymity, Rivian raised their prices, 10 to 16,000.
And then they walked it back, sort of.
They were
very smart. Basically, reservation holders got an email that was like, all the prices of these trucks are going to go up 10 to 15 grand.
Right.
Everyone went, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And they said, okay, if you hold a reservation now, your price will be the same, but any new reservations, they are now going to be 10 to 20 grand over what they were last week.
Correct. I mean, look, that's the same thing that's happening with the ADM, right? But Rivian is a direct sales model. Rivian doesn't have dealers.
Right.
So it's... I don't like inflation masking for corporate profit and greed.
Starbucks.
A lot of companies are using inflation as an excuse to raise their prices.
Yep.
Rivian, I'm sure, and I haven't read too deeply into this, but Rivian, it seems, based on the supply chain, based on their demand, and based on what they're selling trucks and other people, whatever the market is, they're changing their prices. They're changing their prices to adjust to the market. And because there's no dealers to add ADM to blame, this is the same thing. I tweeted this the other day, and we talked about it with Bo Bachman. Car dealers get a really crappy rap. Sometimes that rap is absolutely deserved. There are shitty-ass car dealers. Thaddeus, our friend... he came back to America. He's got a good job here that pays him well, and he originally he was going to get like a used $50,000 car. He was looking at Audi S6s and S7s with low miles. He wanted something for the winter, and so he went around to 3 different Southern California dealers. He went to an Audi dealer. He then went to an Alpha dealer to look at a Stelvio Quadrifoglio. He then went to another dealer. And he had 3 of the most stereotypical dealer experiences you can imagine. Someone literally said, "I'm here to move metal." Someone said they would knock off $100 on the lease if he would sign today. Someone said that this Stelvio quad has a 15K ADM, and when he went to walk away, that magically dropped to a 5K ADM. I mean, it was the most stereotypical. And then one of the dealers kept calling him for 3 days. It was like February 27th. So he got this price goes away tomorrow. I mean, so I understand why people don't like dealers. I do. When they act like that, I don't fucking like them. But at the same time, selling cars is a hard business. Most people who sell cars are humans. Most people. People who own dealerships are humans most of the time. They're not all terrible, and a direct sales model is not remotely immune from this same type of thing. Tesla changes their prices all the fucking time.
Right. Yeah.
All the time. They're constantly changing their prices. So,
didn't they do a thing in Niedermeyer's book? I remember this, but you'll correct me. Where they raised the price of things on reservation holders. Or is it only for new customers?
I don't recall exactly. I don't recall
okay.
exactly. I'm sure Niedermeyer would be happy to answer if we ask him, but I don't remember exactly. The shit that goes on with Tesla is far too complicated for me to remember it all in my head. I just can't fucking remember everything. But with Rivian, I mean, it's market adjustment, but it's coming directly from the manufacturer because it's a direct sales model. Sucks, and it's good that they walked it back on existing reservation holders.
Yeah.
I bet they had more cancellations than they have cars on the road.
Oh yeah,
When
people saw like this is actually going to cost you this much. Like, well then never mind.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So I mean, it's good that they honored those reservation holders, but that's the fucking world we live in right now.
It sucks because also their stock, they went IPO and that went up. Like they seem to have a lot of money. Someone I follow on Instagram was like,
were they saying it was a stock scam to have the lower prices to get more reservations to bump their stock value, and then after they raise the stock value that they raise the prices?
I don't know about that. I mean, this person was just upset because they are a reservation holder and they're like, Rivian has like $100 million after their stock sale, which is more. Their total market value is higher than X OEM, and they're like, and yet they're still asking for more money for these cars for reservation holders, and they were just like, that's really shitty. And then a day later, they walked it back.
Yeah,
so
I think it's shitty. I do think it's shitty. I think if you've got reservations, you should start the price increase at the. I do that here. I mean, I do that here. I at West Side, I'm on a rental business, so if I want. Every year, legally, I can raise the prices by fucking anything I want. There's no rent control in parking. But if you come in at a certain price, it's agreed in the contract that your price will go up 3.5% per year, even if, let's say you pay $600 a month, but now we're busy, the demand is through the roof. I raise the prices to $800 a month. I don't raise your prices. I only raise the prices for the new people. And your price goes up from where you started, 3.5% a year. And I do that because I have enough money. I don't need to piss people off for little bits of money.
Right.
And so, but that's not how capitalism actually works. That's how capitalism works when you have like a fair person running the show who's like, I have a house, I have some toys, I don't need to rake every person over the coals. So, but in a big company with shareholders, cracking the whip.
True.
I'm watching that the Boeing thing right now.
What's the
I believe
Boeing
it's on
thing?
Amazon.
Okay.
I think it's called The Case Against Boeing. And it's talking about the 737 MAX crashes, what went wrong.
Yeah.
And according to the filmmakers, I'm about 3/4 of the way through it right now, watching it on the elliptical machine. And according to the filmmakers, the big turning point was when McDonnell Douglas and Boeing merged. And McDonnell Douglas brought their business plan to Boeing and said, from today on, every step we take is literally like it's from Office Space. Every step we take, everything you do, every decision we made, we have to ask ourselves, is this going to increase the share price? Are we going to return value to our shareholders, as opposed to, at least how this documentary presents it, before that, it was, are we making the best aircraft? Are we making the safest aircraft? Are we doing everything we can to make the best possible product we can make? And take care of our employees and their families. It almost instantly, according to this documentary, switched to, are we creating value for the shareholders? So if the company started one way,
right,
and then went IPO, and now all of a sudden you've got shareholders beating down the CEO's door, and we can ask my father about that, how that goes. If they're going, the market says you need to fucking charge more for these things. You know,
yeah, true.
The shareholders run the show.
Yeah.
This is why if you ever can avoid it, don't run a goddamn public company, because it's a fucking nightmare. So I can't wait to finish that documentary. But yeah, Alejandro, plans and videos of the new building and progress. Yeah, eventually. Right now, what we're doing is waiting for permits, because that's what Los Angeles is. We have finished plans. Holy fucking fuck.
We already covered that one.
Okay.
That was the
okay, good.
Forester.
Oh, you shortened that to that. Okay, cool.
I did.
And
that's a response.
Oh, that's a response to that? Okay, sorry. Miles McCullough got a fun daily on Vancouver Island. 2011 X5M, 20,000 miles. Oh, that's good. 20,000 miles, all right. My question is, will I be forced to sell it when my new...
No. I think he's saying he's going to have to sell this car when he gets a new truck. So should he sell it? How can he get the most money? You know, should he go to BAT? Should he try EAG or something else?
Well, 20,000 miles is very low. So if, assuming you keep the miles very low and you keep it super mint, you know, I don't know if EAG deals with the SUVs. I've never looked. They might. I don't know. I've never tried. EAG will probably give you good, clean money for that car if they deal with the SUVs at all. In my opinion, you want to get the most for it, go to one of the major auction sites, really detail the fuck out of it. I mean, really spend the time doing the detail, really spend the time doing the photography, make it look great, get engaged in the comments, be very honest, be responsive to people's questions. Don't be a smartass. Be honest with your service records. Offer up every possible bit of information that you can offer up, and you will get a premium price. And don't fucking be greedy with the reserve either. Put a low reserve. If you want to sell it, sell it. You know, the drama happens at the end of those auctions, and you don't always. You know, no reserve is great. I love no reserve. You know, you might get fucked, but if you do the other things right, chances are you won't get fucked. So, HUD, do I think a V6 EcoBoost Mustang would be an interesting product? No. No. Yep. Prashan Paniker, thoughts on the Grand Seiko SBG M221. That is the cream dial GMT. It's a lovely piece. I've only seen one or two of them in person, but they are incredibly well made, like all Grand Seikos. They look great. I don't like that. Some of them come on like an alligator strap. You want to get rid of that. But lots of strap options for that watch. Very, very well made piece. Very nice. Great piece to pick up on the used market. You can get it a little cheaper than MSRP. Dan Mosqueda? No. William F. Kraft. Let's see.
Should he insure his 98 Ranger with Haggerty?
Oh, hang on. My 98 Ranger turns 25 in September, and I put close to $5,000 into fixing suspension and servicing since May of 2020. Should I look into Haggerty for it when I renew my insurance? I am 95% sure Haggerty won't insure that. If it's your daily driver and you can't prove that you have another car, they will 100% not insure that. Haggerty typically will not insure non-enthusiast vehicles. Now, I know there are Ranger enthusiasts out there, but a a 25-year-old pickup truck that isn't wild. If it's wildly customized, if it's on fucking hydraulics and the bed dances and shit, then maybe. But I think Haggerty will only, if you had a collection of 20 cars and that Ranger was one of the 20, they would probably add it on the policy. But if it's just a Ford Ranger that's been maintained really well, I think they would just say no. Call them. By all means, call them and ask, but I think they'll probably say no. Andy Jaguar maybe. Drive a 2017 Mustang GT, and since I've owned it, people try to race me all the time. Does this still happen in more expensive vehicles, or is it because I drive a Mustang? It happens in more expensive vehicles, but the baller move is to not race. I mean, that's the baller move is to pretend that someone who tries to race you doesn't exist.
I do that now. When I was in my 20s, I didn't do that.
Pretend what? Pretend they
No,
don't.
I'd race them.
Oh.
Yeah. I got walked by a Merkur XR4T, whatever the fuck it
Really?
was. Yeah. When my STI was stock, he walked me. I was like, oh, someone modified their Merkur.
Yeah. But not for long.
No, then I bought parts.
Yeah, I don't think it's just because you drive a Mustang, but if your car's like loud, then I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. If your car's set up to look like it's ready to race people, then it would definitely happen. People try and fucking roll race me when I'm in press cars all the time, and they rev, and I literally will openly laugh in their face and occasionally do the slow thumbs down to make sure that they know that I know that they're losers.
You're like, I do not want to get this ticket.
Yeah, eat a dick. Fuck out of here. Chad Flippo. I've always thought it would be cool if someone did a show going to every state and showcase the best roads in that state and do a segment about the car culture. I pitched that exact show, and I was shot down with prejudice. They were not interested. That's called the Anthony Bourdain for Cars show, and they did not want to hear it. They didn't want to spend the money. They didn't want to do that. Y2K Punk. Do I remember the game Punch Buggy? Yes, I do. What about my friend started catching on?
They made one up for Tesla.
Oh, they made up a Punch Buggy game for Tesla. The game is called Tesla. And you say, every time a Tesla does something really stupid. I was stuck behind a Tesla on autopilot yesterday that refused to pull up the appropriate amount to the fucking light. And I could see the person reading a goddamn book in their rearview mirror. And it drove me fucking mad. Shocking.
That was the last one.
Kevin McCann, 991.2 base or 991.1S. Well, the .2 has the turbos, and the 991.1S does not. So
And it has more stuff.
So would you rather have a turbocharged powertrain or a naturally aspirated one? It doesn't matter which I would prefer. It's what you would prefer. One feels like a turbo motor, and one feels like a motor that doesn't have turbos.
One is also the base, which is usually not the best version of a car. I mean,
usually not.
It's going to be missing.
There's also a lot of variation. You can put all kinds of options on the base car. Like you can have the sports
That's
suspension.
True. I'm assuming it's base, so that's not fair.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Without this information, it would be hard to tell. I mean, other than that, like it's like, do you want to drive a turbo car or do you want to drive a naturally aspirated car? One isn't necessarily better than the other. The base turbo motor is definitely quicker in a straight line than the NA one, but is that what's important to you, or is it important to have a raw sounding feel? I don't know. It's priorities, homie. What are yours, not what are mine?
That's it.
Is it? Is it?
That's it for now.
Yeah, it is.
There'll be more questions.
Remember an hour ago where I talked about a guy who wanted to fucking recover 4,000 cars from the bottom of the ocean? That was fun.
It was $100,000 just to check it out. How long would it take to recover those? That is insane.
Fucking no, who knows? It's not possible. You get a second container ship out there with a fucking crap. Who knows?
And the idea that it would save the shipping company or the car company's money, even a little bit. Like, this is all junk. Yeah. They will then have to dispose of these cars. Right now, they are disposed of.
They're gone.
Yeah.
They're not coming back.
Yeah, they've written them off.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be cooler if someone was like, let's get a submarine and go explore and make a video of what's down there. like call up James Cameron and rent his submarine and go down there, like, and see what the situation is underwater, 1,000 feet down. Like, that might actually be something that would be worth exploring, maybe. But like,
if it was 100 feet down, it'd be a cool place to dive. Eventually,
homie.
you could sit all the cars.
If it was less than 200 feet, it would be an unbelievable recreational dive.
Yeah.
If of course there isn't like
What's the
lithium
deepest,
leaking out into
what's
the water.
What's the deepest someone can dive? Like in one of those crazy dry suits.
It wouldn't be dry suit. Dry suit is for cold water.
Yeah.
You'd be breathing a mix. So you have regular air is good to about 120 feet. And then you have nitrox and trimix. Nitrox is where you have 2 tanks. One is nitrogen and one is oxygen. It's blended. You can go deeper. Trimix adds a 3rd tank, helium.
Whoa.
And so you can, I think with a trimix dive, you can probably get in like the 300 feet range. Yeah. Yeah,
That pressure must feel so weird.
Well, you don't feel it because you equalize. So every few feet, you increase the pressure in your head, and what ends up happening is you have to do like a bunch of what they call decompression stops on the way back up. So you could go down pretty quick. You could probably go down at 2 feet per second or so, but you'd have to make multiple decompression stops on the way back up to let the nitrogen come out of your body.
Otherwise, you get the bends, right?
Otherwise, you get bent. Yeah. And but I think in the 3s is about like really gnarly commercial diving with trimix can get to the 3s. Yeah, but I mean, you're not if you're doing trimix, you're not on a recreational dive.
No, you're welding,
anymore.
in an oil rig.
You're doing a bridge or something. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well, that's our show, folks. Have a good weekend, everybody. What do we got next week? Do we have who's coming in? Somebody? Anybody?
Somebody is. I don't know.
Somebody is. I can't remember right now. I almost got Killer Mike. The schedule didn't work out this time, but we're gonna get a little more advance notice, I think, next time. Who is coming in next week? Do we have Matt Crook, formerly of 1552 Wheels, now doing his own thing?
Sorry, possibly the roof.
Oh, and possibly Alloy Roof.
Yes,
that would be excellent.
Again.
Yes, we should definitely see if we can get that to happen. And then just 2 weeks until. Did you get your costume yet?
Yeah.
You got it?
Shit.
You did? Did you try it on?
No. I already own like 80% of the stuff.
Oh, really? Oh, for Burning Man. Yeah. Right, okay. I got my replacement shit, and it's good, but I have to get my pants tailored.
I got my gauntlet gloves. They fit perfect, which is nice, from Amazon, and I have goggles and things. I think I'm going to grow a mustache for the next 3 weeks. I'm going to try, because I would like to get a little something. Okay. But we'll see. Should
I go grow a beard?
Find a style
Full beard?
from the 20s, and I'm going to buy a pipe. I was thinking about it actually before
Porsche design?
No. I was thinking about it before the Reggie conversation, actually, and I didn't want to show my hand there, but I think I like the way pipe tobacco smells, so I was already planning on getting one just for the whole character.
Okay.
I'm going full deep.
Full period, correct. Okay. I'm with it.
We're going to have a ton of fun. All our photos should be in black and white.
Unless we die.
You can't die at 25 miles an hour.
You think so?
I'm pretty sure.
Have you ever flown through the air?
Sure have. I sure fucking have.
All right. That's our show. Happy Friday. See you later.